I guess like you'd probably want to see like a Joe Klecker do it early, like the
Mhm.
Bowerman guys. I don't think Woody Kincaid is a high mileage guy. Maybe he is. I don't know. Maybe because he's always
Yeah, and
hurt.
it
So
wouldn't
I
work.
was always thinking he
Yeah,
wasn't running much, but it doesn't work for everyone.
and here's the thing, it doesn't work for everyone, and a lot of them it wouldn't work out at all, and the difference between if you just say, "Let's just make a benchmark of sub" I don't know, what, like, sub 28, right, for 10K? See, and you had every US person, well, let's just bump it up, make it even more inclusive, sub 28:30. They all ran a marathon just to test, just to see how good they were. Well, the bench is a lot deeper in these other countries, so they could absorb a bunch of people flaming out and not making it, versus the United States is when you drop down and get faster and faster and faster, like, you get into the, "Okay, well, if we want all of our sub 28 guys to run a marathon," well,
Yeah.
if it doesn't work out for half of them, it's a small number. It's a much smaller number than Kenya and Ethiopia.
Yeah. Therefore, there's less um, chance taken to abandon track because if
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
that makes sense.
That
That
that's
would
important.
be
Like, if you go back,
that would be the true marathon project with the name project where you
yes.
a runner 28, 15, and faster in the past 2 years and saying, I don't care what state of your career you're in, you're spending 6 months training for this marathon, and we want to actually develop a great marathoner, and we know
Mhm.
we have to take it from the 10K field that is young and in their prime. How
Yeah.
much how much do you think it would cost to pay? Let's bring it up right now. Okay, let's look at year lists. I'm logging
I
in.
got the number. What do you want, 28:30?
Yeah, just okay, that fast.
There's 34 guys fat sub 28:30 this year in the US.
So let's not do 28:30. Let's do 28 flat. Okay, so I want
19.
so this would be the field: Grant Fisher, Woody Kincaid, Ben True, Emmanuel Bohr, Klecker, Mance, Sam Chalanga, Frank Lara, Robert Brandt, Eric Hammer, James Mawara, Isai Rodriguez, Dylan Maggard, Blaise Farrow, Jacob Thompson, Martin Herher, Galen Rupp, Bia Simbasa, and Abdi Hamid Nur. Those are all of our sub 28 guys this year.
Mhm.
Now
Mhm.
I'm going to look at 2019 as well. See if there's any other notables that like, okay, Lopez Lamong, Paul Chalimo. Let's throw those people in there as well.
Mhm.
Okay. So we have 20 guys who are all in their best 10K shape of the past 2 to 3 years. How much would some of those guys have already done the marathon, like Sam Chalanga, so it wouldn't matter for those types. But how much would we need to pay each of those athletes for them to abandon,
Mhm.
like not just not abandon, but for them to prioritize running a fall marathon in 2022 to the best of their ability. Now they can still do their track races, still try to qualify for Eugene or whatever, but
Mhm.
it needs to be in like a shell, like in the training for a marathon, right?
Right, right, yeah.
How much do you think you would have to pay these athletes to all abandon their 10K and 5K dreams for a fall marathon in 2022? $100,000 each?
Double. Well, yeah, double, just take their salary and double whatever they're making, just double it. Everybody can
Okay,
get
so
behind
we
that,
doubled their
right?
salary.
Yeah, double their salary. But here's a cheaper way to do this. Here's a cheaper way to do this. Actually, this is probably actually, I don't know if it's cheaper, but this is building off of what you said about project, right? You take every single graduating senior from, or person who's leaving NCAA, American who's leaving NCAA, have them do a half right before they leave, or you have them train for 2 months or something. Pay them, and then you could just give them a stipend basically, and see where the potential is, because there could be somebody who was the third guy on their team who, or you're right, somebody who's a fringe 10K guy on the on the US side of things, but it's just an amazing half marathon, and then you go from there. You do that too.
Yeah. Or I mean, yeah. The weird thing is there is more money in road racing, but for some reason
Yeah,
there's, I guess, more and more money for if you're a top 3 guy in track. And all the 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10 guys in track believe they can be the top 3 guy in
yeah.
track, and they can dream of that money as opposed to settling for, a sure thing in road money. Yeah.
It's
Anyway, that's what I
safer.
want.
It's
That would be a
safer.
true marathon project. Is we literally force all the top 10K runners in the US is like, hey, Paul Chelimo, I know you want to win gold in
Yeah.
Eugene. I'm sorry, but what we're doing here is we're taking your body and we're trying to see if we can develop an insane marathoner. Like, would Galen Rupp
So
have run 205 by now or 204 by now if he went for the marathon in 2012
yeah, yes, I think he would
instead
be
of 2016?
undoubtedly. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think he would be way way faster. Okay, so look at this. This is the all-time US 10K list, right? All-time US 10K list. Rupp obviously ran a marathon. Selinsky number 2, never ran a marathon. Lopez Lamong number 3, never ran a marathon. Shadrick Kipchirchir number 4, never ran a marathon. Grant Fisher never ran a marathon yet. Kincaid never ran a marathon. Then Meb, great marathoner. Ben True in 8. Abdi, I'd say, I mean, made a ton of Olympic teams. Obviously, solid marathoner, made teams. And then 10th is Leonard Career, who had that one really fast marathon. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Careers marathon. What was he? 20. I think he ran 206. Am I not mistaken on that? With in
Yeah.
Prague,
And he was fourth at the trials in the
207.
marathon.
Excuse me, in
He just went
Amsterdam.
to it late.
Got the
Yeah, he went to it
got the
late.
country wrong, and I got the time wrong. But 207.56, which is way under that barrier. So half of them haven't even run it though. I mean, and you go farther down there,
Yeah.
Ritz obviously was good, but someone like Shadrach Kipchirchir, or someone like I'm looking down there, Klecker would make sense. It'd be very interesting to watch.
I mean, Lopez Lebong is kind of the one person who we're most likely to have a chance at. I mean, it's going to be a half measure because he is getting up there in age.
Yeah,
He's a
that's
year
the
older
yeah
than only a year older than Rupp, but Lebong probably would have made the Olympic team this year if he hadn't been hurt. Maybe not, but you would assume he was in shape too.
yeah
So you take his kind of whatchamacallit, I forget the word I'm trying to
speed.
say. I'm bad with yeah, not speed, but like his longevity. His longevity
Yeah,
in the sport, maybe he can pop a fast one, but kind of like how Michaela's trying to extend his career, pop a fast one post his
yeah.
long track career. Uh, a
So
fast one for
like
US
Meb,
standards, not for world standards.
but here's what I think: the important stat is how soon after your 10K PR are you running a marathon? Because it's not helpful if you run your 10K PR in 2021 and then you make your marathon debut in 2030, right? I think we agree that's the problem. Like, there's not enough depth in America to have that sort of different. Like, you need to be still being able to bring that sort of 10K time close to it. Like Meb. So Meb's 27:13 was in 2001, and I'm looking up his marathon debut was in 2002. The next year he ran New York. Now, marathon career didn't start off with a bang, but he at least was getting reps, and then in 2 years' time he was second in New York. So I think the commitment needs to come a lot earlier. It can't be the thing at the very, very end of your career for these top guys. It needs to be pushed closer forward, like it was with Ryan Hall.
Yeah. And the only thing that will do it is you got to incentivize them, give them some little bit of
Yeah.
dough. You gotta figure it out. You got some big time, rich, wealthy person who's like, all right, I'm going to find like a class of people, and I'm gonna pay them and incentivize them to stay away from the track and go right to the marathon and see if it works out. Kind of like
Couldn't
horse
have 'em live in
racing
a
type of
house.
get their star
Have 'em live in
horse. If you
have their
could
lives
if
taped.
you could if you could pick four people, four men
Yeah.
who have yet to graduate college, what four would you say I want you only on the marathon? I
Who
think
have
both
yet to
obviously say
graduate
Connor
college?
Mance.
Yeah,
Yeah, who have yet to go pro.
Mance is an easy one.
So Mance is number
Yeah,
one. Who
so
would the other
Mance
three be?
let me think here. Not Nagoose. I'd want him in the mile. I'm not putting
Yeah.
Nagoose in the
And
marathon. Not gonna
Americans.
do that to him.
And Americans only. Yeah.
Well, he's American. So remember, he made the Olympic team.
Yeah, no, but it's like
Um,
just for
um, I mean, Nico. Would you go? Would you go early on Nico?
I think I would. Yeah, Nico would make sense.
I mean, having someone at yeah from NAU with the altitude. I don't know. Is there obvious two other picks?
I mean, would you
There.
consider Cooper Tier?
Well, he's the exact type of person I'm describing because he has that speed. So you're
Yeah.
getting an A-lister to go to the marathon. You're not getting someone who doesn't have speed and is going to the marathon just to go to the marathon. Yeah, if this was like the Breaking Two project where you're trying to cobble together a group of people who each have like very specific skills and your goal is just like one of them pan out. Because if you have Mance on one side of it, isn't Cooper Tears in some ways the other extreme?
Yeah. I mean, he's a
I mean, they're both
350 miler, like yeah.
yeah. Not to say Mance couldn't run a decent mile, and not to say like Tier can't grind. They both can do those things. But if you're projecting to the future, Mance is the obvious. Hey, this guy's going to run a marathon the moment he leaves college, or maybe when he's still in college. Versus Tier, you could see Tier going back and forth between the 15 and the 5. You could see Tier being reluctant even to run like a pro 10K for a while. So I think that would be interesting. So yeah, I'd take those two. I would take I take Nico as well. Give him a
Yeah.
couple years.
And I would probably also
Evansville?
take Abdi Nur, right? I mean, it's basically take the best cross country runners, right? The top four cross country runners that are Americans. You could argue Isai Rodriguez, but he's always been hurt. But that would be the play. Just take top cross country runners. Let's take the top five Americans in cross country and
Yeah,
say goodbye to your track career. You're going all in on the marathon, and you're going to be going 1, 2, 3 at the 2028 Olympic Games.
yeah. Look, because Ryan Hall is an outlier, so it's tough. Because when you say, "Well, just do what Ryan Hall did," but then you forget Ryan Hall was really, 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 really good for a really long time, and not everybody's going to fit that well with the marathon. But if most people are waiting 8 years after college to run a marathon, or 7 years after college to run a marathon, it's you're not getting the best version of that person. I think that's fair to
Yeah.
say. People might argue that because oh, you need years and years and years to build up the mileage, but it's just like that hasn't been borne out with what we've seen internationally, or even
Yeah, and
domestically,
you have
really. So
already 8 years of that mileage kind of, I mean, maybe 6 from high school and college already, right? It's not like these kids
yeah,
start running at
yeah,
age 22. They
yeah.
they've been running a lot longer before that. They put a lot of miles on their
I think
legs
it's a
already.
yeah, I think it's a calculated risk. It's like, do I really want my career to come down to two big moments every year when I just started? And if I get hurt, then what happens? And that's why they take a much more cautious approach. And distance coaches are always going to err on the side of caution. Doesn't matter what level they're at. That's just part of it, right? They're going to be really, 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 really careful not to have something go wrong and not to ruin anything. Okay, let's